I'm Paul Giamatti.
I am Stephen Asma. I met Paul, a award-winning actor, online, where all great partnerships begin.
Make sure it doesn't sound creepy that, we met
It
on.
does sound.
But I also hasten to add that Stephen is a philosopher.
It sounds slightly arrogant, but that is my job.
I will go further and I will say you are not just a philosopher, you're a prolific writer, and you are also an expert on monsters, if I'm not mistaken.
I did write the book on monsters.
You sure did, which covers the gamut from, what are we talking, like the Loch Ness Monster to the Sasquatch?
Yes.
To Chupacabra, maybe?
We're going to do basically a kind of conversation with what the Brits call a chinwag.
We're going to engage in a chinwag. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you'll find it.
Let's get into it. I know it's traditional to maybe hold off on the actual event that we're going to promote, but then at the end, the host is always scrambling to get the information in. Let's talk about arts at the Armory in Somerville right out of the gate. You guys are coming to Boston on the on the 19th.
April 19th. We are indeed.
What's a Chinwag show like live?
Chaos.
Great. Chaos. It's not as much. I mean, it can be chaos, but it's
chaos
it's
sells
really
tickets.
fun.
That's all right. Chaos sells tickets.
That's true. Chaos does. They're fun. They're really a good time. I don't think we knew what to expect, did we?
No, and it's kind of a show. I mean, there's music at the beginning that Paul plays the theremin, I play guitar. There's visuals usually on the screen. It's
Steve
cool.
Really plays the guitar. Steve actually is kind of a professional musician. He worked as a professional musician, so he really plays blues guitar. I don't actually know how to play a theremin. You know, theremin is one of those electronic.
You sell yourself short, my friend.
Yeah, okay. I can make sounds with it. I know how to make sounds.
Hey, that's half the battle.
It sounds great with his guitar. Yeah, it sounds great with his guitar.
Well, that's fun.
So,
and
it's been great.
Tickets are available now. People can get them, and I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it. And this is something new for podcasts. Podcasts relatively new in the whole realm of entertainment. But now it's the live show. It's getting out there. Smartless has done it. They did a road tour, and now you guys are out doing your thing. Who knew that this was going to be another form of entertainment that entertainers could keep living on through?
Absolutely. I mean, I was pretty ignorant about the whole thing until recently. I hadn't really listened to much. Occasionally I'd listen to something with it. And a lot of it was sort of the kind of, documentary ones of true crime kind of stuff and stuff like that. But I hadn't listened to a lot of, a lot of these kinds of things I hadn't listened to.
Well, it's funny because I think a lot of celebrities, a lot of names of note will gravitate towards podcasts, but a lot of them are interview-based, or it's a companion piece to something they are doing. Paul, as the name, no offense, Stephen, but in the name of the Hollywood world, the celebrity world, you chose to do something very specific and very topic-oriented, as opposed to let's interview all my friends. In the world of Hollywood. What made you decide that I'm going to do a little extra hard work to try to get people to listen to my podcast?
I don't work that hard. I mean, I just want to say
he's just weird.
Yeah, I'm just weird. I mean, I had met Steve, and Steve and I really had a lot in common of interests and things like that. I mean, again, I think I didn't know from podcasts at all. I didn't know what one was supposed to be like or what was supposed to sound
that helps.
like. So, I think it does help, right, Steve? I mean, it's like
I think that's true.
Ignorance has been actually a really helpful thing. I don't really know what they're supposed to be like. And I joke around, but it's really kind of true. I mean, this stuff, all these kinds of things we talk about is stuff that I'm interested in. And I love being an actor. I love doing it's everything to me, but this is an unfulfilled part of my life and my brain. And so I thought, I joke, but I really was kind of tired of not talking about this kind of thing. And thought, I don't know, Steve, we just thought, maybe it'd be interesting to hear if other people want to talk about it. And then they don't have to talk about whatever they usually talk about.
I think we've been lucky in the sense that we've had a lot of celebrities on the show and also some great academic experts, scientists, historians. But the celebrities, they enjoy not talking about themselves and their latest project. They want to talk about UFOs and Bigfoot, and just like anybody else would, you meet them at a bar, your friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the Tom Hanks podcast, and what I love about Tom Hanks is he was so interested in what you guys were talking about, jumped in the conversation, and I heard him on another podcast, the Fly on the Wall, about the SNL people that are involved there, and all he talked like he was a cast member from the past. He wasn't Tom Hanks all of a sudden. He could have been a grip on set, but he just was so excited about talking about something he normally doesn't talk about. And I hear that in you, Paul. I hear
time travel.
From my point of view, that's actually, it's liberating, because it's like, it's not that, you have to do it and whatever. And I don't mind talking about acting, but to not have to talk about it is great. It's really liberating to talk about other things. It's really fun.
I hear you guys get, more excited about different topics. Stephen, what's your favorite topic to hit on any given day?
I am a sucker for the monster topics. Like Paul and I occasionally will talk about different kinds of monsters like cryptids and lore. We're going to talk about werewolves, I think, maybe in Boston. That's one of our possible topics. So I'm interested in monsters, but I'm not as into ghosts, I think, as Paul is, but I like the UFO topics, consciousness, science fiction, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think your episodes on the deep Atlantis and the octopuses and octopi, excuse me. I thought that was amazing too. And you opened my mind to the fact that that's where aliens may have originated. That's where they may be. That's crazy. I never thought of that, which led to Hollow Earth. And I'm blowing my mind. And Paul,
the Hollow Earth thing, I've been obsessed with my whole life. And I kind of couldn't believe somebody was going to give me and Steve the opportunity to talk about this. I was like, you seriously going to let us talk about this? And it turned out, it's great, and hopefully it just sparks people's imagination and sense of inquiry and curiosity and stuff. That's really mostly what our goal is.
Yeah. Right? We have a cool community too that they like that stuff. They loved the Hollow Earth thing.
Oh, really sure. Well, it's not your typical topics of conversation with this with what you're talking about, the unknown and stuff, but it is fascinating. It's you guys are educated individuals. Paul, you refer to folks and then have to backtrack and say, well, I'm a wackadoo myself.
Yeah.
So some of these topics are just outlandish and hard to believe. And from a scientific point of view, there's no case whatsoever that this is all real. So as educated men, how do you put that aside to say anything's possible?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I shouldn't speak for Steve, but I think Steve comes from a place of skepticism in the first place, right?
A little more than you, for sure. But also, I'm a professor, and my day job is like making sure students are logical and do critical thinking. That's not what the Chinwag is for. The Chinwag is for letting our freak flag fly and getting creative and it's really an entertaining and creative thing. I'm not as worried about whether everybody thinks it's real and everybody's thinking correctly.
Neither,
It's not that
and which is, but I do often feel like hopefully we always manage to ground things in something that makes it more. I mean, like the Hollow Earth thing is interesting because it becomes a question of why do people believe in stuff like this? Why do they need to believe in stuff like this? Why do people need conspiracy theories? I think that's at the end of the day, a lot of what we end up talking about. That's more interesting is what is it? How do our brains work and our imaginations work and stuff like that? So I think we do manage to ground it in a place that's not always just like, yeah, for sure, lizard people are taking over.
We're not endorsing half the stuff we're talking about.
No.
Stephen, I did want to ask you that because you're a professor of philosophy, and what does this topic do to the human condition? Why do we want to believe these things? Why do we talk about these things? Is there a sense of something missing in our lives? Are we explorers deep down inside? Is that in our genetic code? Why do we gravitate towards these stories? And sometimes, that's got to be true. Do we want more?
Well, that's something. Yeah, Paul and I talk about this a lot on Chinwag, which is because we think the imagination is the biggest part of the mind. Like a lot of people in popular culture relegate it to like fantasy, but that's not really true. The imagination is shaping your whole
Everything,
day,
all the
every day.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as an actor, Paul's using it, but just as a father, as a, a
As a
son, as a
human being,
person.
you're
Yeah.
constantly using
You're
your
constantly using the
imagination.
imagination. And then
Yeah.
curiosity is just huge. And then you're always trying to we're always going down these rabbit holes. That's how the mind works. It's always sort of gripped by wonder. And we just try to celebrate that on the show. And I think that that's just natural human nature. And then on top of it comes a media landscape that is filled with conspiracies. And so that also gets people wound up.
Well, conspiracies are a thing. I think human beings and the human brain needs narrative. It wants to
Yeah.
organize things. It makes sense out of things. So conspiracies make sense out of things. And then I think, like you say, there's a need. People have a desire for transcendent things. So even
Yeah.
Sasquatch or the UFO, it's something bigger and more mysterious in life that can be very mundane and painful and boring. And so you need other things. I mean, psychologists like Carl Jung talked all about how UFOs are a kind of representation of something holy, kind of coming out of the sky, and it's a kind of religious thing that we need. With a lack of religion in life, generally, there's a kind of need for it that comes out in
Right.
UFOs.
Yeah, it's a little smug of us to believe that the only thing happening is what's right in front of us, what we can feel,
Sure.
what we can touch, what we can see.
That too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We were talking about conspiracy theories, and it used to be in a magazine or a book that we read these things, and then the internet came out and it blew up. And as we know, social media is a dangerous place for non-information. But now AI is making it more difficult to keep these legends and the fact that they might be true alive, because people can be posting photos of Bigfoot that are AI generated. So do you see the effect of AI already in this area?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a really good question.
I think
Certainly
that's right.
UFOs, I do see it. If I go on social media, I see a lot of fake UFO stuff. But
Cryptozoology too. There are Bigfoot things that look like they've been made by AI. Strange creatures. What is this? On TikTok, I'm always following these cryptids. I mean, part of me feels like always like caveat emptor, buyer beware. Like, don't believe most of what you see in general on these platforms, whether it's, well, I'm not going to name them, but we all know what they are. But I think we shouldn't be looking for the news from these particular resources. We should be looking for, entertainment and social connection.
And which is what you guys do. It's a discussion. You guys are pulling out facts.
Yeah.
Now, has there been something where you weren't a believer at all, and then you guys started your back and forth, and Paul, maybe Stephen gave you some facts that you didn't know, and you're like, oh my God, you know what? I think I'm a believer now.
Well, Stephen is always giving me facts that I don't know, but he's always grounding things back in science or logic, and frequently that stuff is as amazing to me as, I mean, when he explains to me the way your brain may be working that maybe creates hallucinations or whatever, that's as amazing to me as the actual, as if any other kind of supernatural explanation for things. I don't think I've had any influence. Maybe I've had some.
Not true. No, you have had some big influences on. Yes,
because I do tend to be more credulous about some things. I mean, I have a little bit more of a wacky viewpoint than
a little bit more passion sometimes.
Well, and yes, and I'm less a man of science, but I do believe in ghosts and things like that.
I do too.
I don't know that Steve does. Yeah,
Steve,
but I think I have come to think more open-mindedly about things like consciousness. Like, maybe it's not just stuck in the brains of this one species or a handful of species. Maybe it is a broader thing, and we're tapping into it. And I think really Paul has influenced my thinking and made me more open-minded about that. And also, he's a very playful, like, his mind is very playful. It's part of, I think, being an artist. And as a professor, it's kind of nice to loosen up and like play a little more with ideas, because you tend to get kind of overly strict and disciplined about thought.
No, and from my side of it, it's nice to actually get sort of like brought down to earth sometimes.
Such a good team.
So all over the place. It's true. So it's a good exchange.
Now, what's the like? If you listen to the show, you get a sense of the roles. But a good podcast has roles. The people involved have roles. They complement each other. Yet there's a little bit of an opposite attraction to each other. What are your roles? Was this something you discussed? Maybe you don't. Maybe it was just you guys vibed like in
I
a
don't
coffee
think we
shop.
ever did discuss it.
We didn't discuss it. No.
but I think I think it does function. I mean, it's what you were just saying. I mean, it's even the sort of more skeptical, more rational person and the more irrational, erratic person. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that it fulfills those two basic things, right?
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
that's right. That's just naturally who we are.
Yeah.
And we never really discussed it, but sometimes in the course of a conversation, we'll flip and he'll be the skeptic and I'll be the more credulous
Yeah.
one. And the guest
Yeah.
is, like in the mix too. So it's kind of fun. And that's the beauty of the Chinwag. Like it's not like pre-scripted or we haven't sort of figured out what we're doing,
Right.
but we're just improvising in a good way.
And it's great that
Yeah.
I love that when it's just the two of you talking about something, but I also love the guests as well. Now, some podcasts may say, well, we need guests. We need a guest for every episode. You guys don't do
Yeah.
that. Is that something that you planned? Is that part of the format of the show?
It was definitely an approach. I mean, I think really the original idea was just the two of us, and then we realized that probably wouldn't fly very well. But so then we thought, well, we'll bring on celebrity people, and then sort of bringing on the experts was the third step we took, which
Yeah.
I know I was wary about at first, and then turned out to be one of my favorite things that we do.
Well, it gives the show variety too. There's
it does, but I was
different ways
also
to
worried,
listen.
like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to talk to some Roman history. What the hell am I going to? But it's actually worked out really well.
Yeah.
I really enjoy those when we talk to like Matthew Johnson, the psychedelics researcher and
Yeah.
stuff. And and we've found these wonderful people who like to talk and are great at talking about all kinds of things. But I think I do enjoy just the ones where it's just the two of us doing it.
Yeah. Those
If we
those
can-
always like really make me laugh too. Those
Yeah,
are
they make me laugh, and they're the most free. I mean, there's no limits on what we're gonna. There's no guardrails. They disappear. We can talk about whatever crazy, idiotic thing we want to talk about. Nobody's gonna stop us.
Well, it's a fantastic podcast, and it comes up in my
Thanks.
group of top 10 podcasts that I listen to.
Awesome.
It's funny. It's weird. Like, I'm a movie guy. I'm a TV guy. But I've been gravitating towards podcasts more, podcasts that are based in entertainment. But still, I've kind of changed my viewing and listening habits to
Interesting.
include podcasts. And
That's awesome.
who knows? And I don't think it'll
Well,
go
we're-
away. And we can keep getting older, but we can keep doing this. It's nice. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
radio guy. I've always been behind the camera, so to speak. Nobody sees me. But now this has extended my career, being able to do podcasts.
Sure. And look, we're at home, man.
Right?
It's like-
Yeah.
I'm
It
saying-
doesn't
I'm
ruin
not-
your back.
I'm not wearing
Not
pants.
just to ruin my back. Right. Not wearing pants. None of us are wearing pants. It's fantastic. We're at home. I mean, it's a lovely thing. It really is. It is.
One more question before we talk more about the 19th. Can you bring this conversation to your everyday job? Or is it hard to keep it from talking to your peers? Paul, you're on set and you want to share guess what I learned yesterday with Steve. Is it tough to bring that to the other side? And it's the same question for you, Stephen, in academia.
Yeah. Do you find it? What do you think, Steve? Do you find yourself?
I actually find that people have really embraced the show. Like my colleagues really like it because it's smart, but it's not pretentious. So I think they like that. And also the students love it. I mean, they just think it's crazy and weird. And
great.
so I've had no problems. Fingers crossed.
No, I haven't really. Yeah, I haven't really. I mean, I sometimes I'll meet actors who actively are interested in stuff like this, but a lot of the time they don't want people to know. It's very funny, and I've
that's
actually
funny.
been surprised. We've had some actors on here who off camera have admitted crazy shit that they won't talk about on camera.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or on the air, or whatever we want to call it. It's very funny, and it's like,
Yeah.
and I'm often sort of like, I'm surprised at how many actors are less forthcoming about it. Because I think we all think actors are going to just spew whatever crazy thing comes in their head, which I have a tendency to do. And so people know that about me at work. So I think they know I'm going to say some weird fucking shit to them at work. So it's not surprising to anybody that I do, but I'm surprised at how seldom I meet an actor who's kind of willing to just go somewhere very weird.
I think they're
But I
afraid the TMZ is going to take it out of context.
I
Yeah,
think that's exactly
maybe
right.
so.
No,
That's
you're
the world
exactly
we
right.
live in. That's the world we live
so
in.
I am basically carpet bombing the media with crazy shit.
Making
so
up
they don't
for
have
all the-
they don't have anything to choose from at this point. So it's just like, I've just created an entire environment of insanity around myself so that they can't fuck with me.
Well, if you like the topics, and I know that our fans in New England Legends love these topics, Chinwag is the podcast. It's out weekly right? And with some
Yes,
bonuses.
every week.
You got some bonuses in there. And if you just go...
And kudos on your fine podcast too, my man.
Yes,
thank you,
I
Steve.
listened to your episode on donuts the other day and was very, very
Right.
amused. So well done.
And people are
Awesome.
still talking about that. For some reason, we can talk about cryptids, we can talk about sea monsters, but when we talk about food or beer, or
Donuts.
it's one of the biggest.
That's it.
Yeah.
Donuts, yeah, of course.
Arts at the Armory in Somerville is where the show is on April 19th. And it's going to be a lot of fun. artsatthearmory.org is the website. Get your tickets. And, listening to the podcast, I'm very excited to see what it's like live. So
Awesome.
best of luck. Thank you for giving us more entertainment to listen to. Paul, thank you for all you do. I've been a fan for so long. I'm a new fan of Steven. So it's great talking to you again, Steven.
Yeah, and we'll see you at the gig.
Absolutely, guys.
We'll see you there. Great.
All right. Thank you.
Man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Oh, chinwaggers. Oh, my goodness. We have some exciting news. We are coming to Boston.
Beantown, baby.
That's right, Beantown.
Yes, we will be chinwagging live before you at Center for the Arts at the Armory in Somerville, Mass. on Friday, April 19th.
These live shows are awe-inspiring. We love seeing our fans and taking your bizarre questions.
There's also going to be a special meet and greet with us, just for VIPs, of course, and we can chat a bit. We'll sign a poster. It's going to be awesome.
Tickets are available right now at chinwagpod.fm/Boston. That's chinwagpod.fm/Boston. So get your tickets. This will be an historic event, the likes of which Boston has never seen. And Boston has seen a lot of history. You might even catch me in the wild playing my theremin, and Steven playing his guitar for real.
You do not want to miss this.
So meet us in Boston, Chinwaggers, April 19th at the Armory. We can promise you one thing, it's going to get weird. Oh, it always does. And until then, wag on.
Wag on.